Welcome everybody to Chef and Guac, the podcast. I am your host, El Guaco, and with me it is my co-host, Chef Ty. How are you doing today, man?
Yo, what's good, bro? I'm chilling. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, Week 2, man, another week here. NBA season, NFL season, some crazy things has happened. So let's get into it, man. Let's just get into it. All right, right now, our first topic of the day, we're going to be covering NBA. Not a lot of people know our own personal highs and woes with just like each team. And so I figure let's just go through team by team. We already have a little bit of sample size just from all of these NBA teams. And let's just see where they're at now, where we see where they can be. And let's just get right into it, starting with the Atlanta Hawks. Right now, the record is, let me just pull it up. I wish I had that ready. They are 4-3 right now. Chef Ty, where do you see the Atlanta Hawks? Where do you see that their ceiling is? How do you feel like they're playing this year so far, man?
So far, I think they're playing solid basketball. Some people are saying, they were going to expect them to do better than they did last year, really. I expected some things to get better, but I didn't expect things to be that much better, really, for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was like, with Trae Young as well, trying to find his footing with the foul calls, especially as well, as a lot of players are.
Mm-hmm.
I think they still had a lot of good wins, and they've got a lot of production from a lot of guys they were hoping to get production from, like Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish, I think, has been playing really well off the bench this year. And if he continues to be playing that way, I think he could be a really big piece for this team. And then I think John Collins has been playing better than I guess some people might have expected. As opposed to just being a slam dunker, now he's doing a little more than just dunking the ball all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I still see them as probably getting to where they were at last year. The whole NBA rules changing has really affected a lot of players. I know that Trae Young likes to do that, where he catches them, he like goes like back and stuff like that. But I mean, it hasn't really affected him so much as just like James like Harden. He's still putting up pretty solid numbers. And it's still early on in the season. Right now they are 20th in like pace, offensive rating. They are 12 and defense 15. So they're right there in the middle of the pack. I can see them playoff team. I mean, it's still like early, and I know a lot of the players are getting adjusted to the rules and just trying to get their groove back. So I see nothing but like a success in their future. Playoffs, pretty much second round. I got them at least going at the end of this year. I can see, but it's still early, Like it's still early. And let's move on to our next team, Boston Celtics. They are currently 2-5 right now. Ty, how do you feel about the direction this team is going, especially after the latest news from Marcus Smart and what he had to say about his two stars on the team?
I think he's right for the most part. I think there's a little bit of both sides. I understand both sides of it. I don't feel like the rest of the teams will be consistent around them enough to, for when it counts the most for them to be taking a lot of these shots. But it's also when it comes down to two guys and everybody knows who you're going to, it's kind of like, all right, you try to make these tough shots, these big moments, and sometimes you just don't go.
Yeah.
And you have to live or die with that. But then you also have to, you do have to trust your teammates at the end of the day. If the shot's open, you have to have faith that they're going to make them eventually. And I don't feel like, I feel like the production from the two stars in comparison to the rest of the team has just been a lot different. And that's what the reason, that's the main reason I can see for them not winning a lot of games this year.
Yeah. Well, they do have a new coach, but they pretty much have the same team back, right? I don't really think that they made any like drastic moves like that. But I mean, it's still early in the season. I don't think Marcus Smart's comments was like necessarily justified. I mean, like I understand he is frustrated. They aren't winning as many games as they would hope. They are actually at the bottom of the pack. in terms of offense and just like defensive rating. They're 20, 21, and 20 respectively. But their pace is pretty good. They're like in the middle of the Pac-12. I don't know. They just gotta have a little bit more time. Like I said, it's just like it's still early, and I believe that Tatum and Brown like they can get this team back on track. I mean, they have generally been playoff caliber teams, so I don't really see any like reason to like worry right now. I mean, this is the first year officially. Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah, no, man, I'm not panicking just yet. I'm just saying, I mean, honestly, this is why you pay these guys the bigger bucks in order to, have the ball in those last, crucial minutes of the game. So I mean, we just gotta wait it out. They're gonna get back, in the groove, and I'm pretty sure they'll be a playoff team by the end of this, year. Like mid-season probably, overall. But yeah, enough of them. Let's go to the Brooklyn Nets. All right. They are currently right now. I just had them up. They are 4-3 right now. So a little bit over 500. How do you think KD, James Harden are doing right now? Where do you see that they're going? And yeah, man, how do you feel about them?
I think so far it's just been a work in progress, with everything. I think things are just slowly, but surely figuring things out how they're gonna go about this season. James Harden is still one of the top leading assisters in the league, and Kevin Durant is still one of the top scorers in the league. So I mean, regardless of whether they're still struggling a little bit here and there, they still have the top players, some of the top players in the league on their team. So I mean, they're always going to be right there in the push of things, especially when it gets down into the playoffs times.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, these are guys who knows how to win games, and they will do that for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, you got Kevin Durant on your team. I mean, James Harden, once he gets back into rhythm, and it looks like he is. I mean, he's looking a little bit better nowadays. I mean, it's just really only a matter of time. Right now, they're just focused on playing team like basketball. And as much as they would want to have Kyrie Irving on their team, they got to look at who they have right now on their roster. So it's not about who they wish that they could have. It's about who they do have. And I believe that Kevin Durant is showing as to why he is a like MVP caliber of a player. Because I mean, at the end of the day, they got to go out and they got to play, ball. And they're doing a pretty decent job. They are over 500 right now, and it's still early in the season. So it's just, really just like getting minutes, filling all of these other, like players and just playing team winning basketball. So they're not doing that bad. I see them, everybody knows and everybody's gunning up for them to be in the playoffs, if not in the finals. So, I mean, it's still early. James Harden is still a good secondary addition. It's just a matter of him getting back comfortable. And you remember he did injure himself last year. So it's just like, him really feeling, like comfortable on the court. And it's only a matter of time until when he's like, actually, like, you know what? No, I'm back. So, I mean, nothing but good things for them in the future, I feel it. So,
yeah.
Yeah, sir. All right, Charlotte Hornets. Let's move on to them. Right now, they are currently 7th at 5-3. How do you feel about them, man?
I think they're on their way to eventually, not like this year or anything, but eventually being like one of those just like must-watch TV teams. They got all the highlights and everything. Everybody wants to be like them, the play styles and everything. So I mean, I think right now their biggest thing, they're just a young team and still figuring things out.
Yeah.
But so far, I do like what I'm seeing from not even just your big stars like LaMelo, but your secondary stars like Miles Bridges. What he's been playing this year. A lot better than anybody's really expected, and adding a jump shot to his game and whatnot. So you like to see that development from players and just continue to see where they take this thing with this young core. They're still going to have their bad games, and you do see a couple like slum games from LaMelo Ball from time to time where we just can't really hit too much. But I don't think that's too much worries right now. I don't think you're shooting for an NBA championship right now. So I think if you can at least push for like a playoffs with this team, I think you should be in good spirits.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have the second best offensive rating right now, and they're playing ball. They're doing their thing. I ain't even gonna hold you. I mean, granted, it is still early, and I'm gonna keep saying it, but I mean, they're playing good ball. Honestly, I'm gonna just ask one follow-up question, right? Do you believe that a LaMelo Ball could be the face of the NBA, the future face of the NBA?
At some point, yeah, maybe. If you're talking about like the LeBron type guy and everything, I mean, I think he's been like in the famous spotlight for long enough to where there's more people who may not even watch basketball who know his name and know who he is. So I could definitely see that being a thing, considering how long he's been in that national spotlight.
All right, yes, sir. All right, and let's move on from one ball brother to another with the Chicago Bulls. They are right now number one in the East at the time of this recording at 6-1. They are winning 0.857% of their games, man. How do you feel about these Bulls, man? Did you even expect them to be, as of right now, and I know it's still early, number one in the East?
I think I expected them to be solid, but I think they are playing probably a little better than I expected. They're definitely like still learning to play together and things like that, still not fully meshed well together. But for the most part, it's like you have enough guys on this team who can win your game. Like not everybody may have a good night. Like Lonzo may not have a great night every night, but his efforts have been picked up by guys like DeMar DeRozan, who's always going to consistently give you his numbers and play his game. Zach LaVine is going to most of the nights going to consistently give you his stuff. And then when those guys may not be on, Lonzo can step up and give you a solid game with that, as well as Nikola Vucevic on there. And then you have a young guy with like him, Patrick Williams on that team as well. The team looks really solid. It's just all around and things just working out really well. And then you have Alex Caruso coming off the bench and really helping that second unit and giving them an edge up on the bench performance. So definitely a team to watch out for this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, too. I'm liking what I see from the Bulls. Honestly, I am happy that DeMar DeRozan is actually getting like that second resurgence chance, because he sort of kind of did dip off with the Spurs, but like he is getting his like groove back over there with the Bulls. I just think just like overall, they know what they want this year and they're going to try to at least take advantage of the whole situation, and they're like running with it. I know they just lost Patrick Williams, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they're gonna stay with the players that they have, and they're sixth in the league in defensive rating. So I mean, they're a top 10 defensive team. If you can play good defense, you can certainly have a game come like close and just have your shooters help you out, and at the end, I mean, it's like possible. But I mean, good defense is never a bad thing at the end of the day. Defense does win championships. Sometimes it does. I mean, like, hey man, that LeBron James block back in the day in 2016, I mean, defense can help you win a championship. So I mean, it's nothing but the sky for them if they can continue to really play in to all of their players having their roles, and I mean the sky is the limit with them. But yeah, let's move on to your team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are right now 10th in the East at 4-4, 500, breaking even. Not too bad, not too good. How do you feel about your Cavs, man?
I mean, I feel pretty good so far. I think I like what I'm seeing from our young big man setup we have going right now. Jared Allen looks really solid out there. Not just like defensively, but also offensively and getting a lot of boards, as well as what I'm seeing for Evan Mobley. I think those are two like a big man duo that could be something special in a few years. And then you trying to get more consistent from the other positions, really. We have kind of like a weird thing with Larry Marketing running the 3, and I don't know really how I feel about that, especially defensively. I think that's just barbecue chicken right there, as Shaq would say. So, I mean, then you have that, and then you have two small guards in Colin Sexton and Darius Garland.
Mm.
Sometimes that works out for itself because Colin Sexton can't fill up that stat sheet for you, but it's not always enough as we've seen. But with a lot of the second chance points that we're getting with both all these big rebounders down low, it definitely helps out the team. So breaking even this year, if we end up in that like 10-9 seed area, I could be very happy with that. I like that improvement. That's from coming from like the top 5 picks in the draft every single year, back to back to back.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, any year, any week, any day, any night. I mean, it don't matter. I mean, and like the NBA, things can get crazy, especially in the East. So I mean, I'm just rooting for y'all to at least have a decent year, just to at least develop, because y'all have a lot of young talent on that team, and I just want to see at least one of them, become like a superstar, like an all-star for you all. So I'm just rooting for y'all, nothing but the best over there. But yeah, let's move on to the Dallas Mavericks. Everybody's front runner this year for just like MVP Luka Doncic. They are currently in the West right now. Let's see, third, 4-2. How do you feel about the Mavs, man, this year?
I'm trying to look at their stats right now.
Right now, they are 11th in like defensive ratings. Offensive, they are 27th. They actually have a negative net rating of negative 4.4.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing for this team this year was really seeing how well Kristaps was going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And the 12 points a game from him and 6 rebounds as your like second best player on a team that's trying to win, I don't think that's good enough, really.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't say that he's like a lost cause on this team, but I would definitely say that if you're really trying to win with Luka and everybody, you need to bring in somebody else to come really help, because everybody else, they can have solid nights here and there, but none of them are consistent enough to really make an impact at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And like, as good as Luka can be, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he could be an MVP. It's like, he still just can't be out here and do it all by himself, at the end of the day. So,
man, I understand that. Look, man, in this league, you need at least one other star. And when they made that trade for Kristaps, they thought that at least a couple of their issues would be solved, but it has had more questions than just like answers overall. But I think that Luka can definitely, step it up this year even more and just prove to why he is one of the future faces of the, like NBA. But they're doing at least decent, right now. They're not bad. I mean, been the third in the West, so I mean, they can't be doing that bad, honestly. So yeah. All right, and let's move on to the Denver Nuggets. They are right now 6th in the West at 4-3, just a little bit over 500. How do you feel about the Nuggets this year? The Jamal Murray-less Nuggets. How do you feel about them this year, man?
I think this year they're definitely just trying to improve on what they already have.
Yeah.
So it's like, you already have an MVP there. You're waiting for your co-star to come back next year to really make a good playoff push. And you're letting your young guys really develop on this team, like Michael Porter Jr., and trying to give them a bigger spotlight and bigger role on the team while it is there, so that when these next big opportunities do come, they'll be even better and more prepared going forward into the season. And so far, I mean, ups and downs for this team so far. Nothing too bad. Nothing
cut out Tyler. Good, I don't even mean to stop you, but you just like stop, and then like you just got back right now.
Yeah, I just saw it.
It's all Gucci. If you could just pick up from they're just trying to pick up before they started. It was just like some other stuff, and it just kind of got like phased out.
Just start from the beginning, pretty much.
Yeah. Just start from the beginning. I'm sorry, bro. See, now it's kind of up again.
All right. So the thing with the Denver Nuggets so far this year, they've been playing really solid, and then this year it's pretty much just focusing on developing the young guys and getting them more confident. Guys like Michael Porter Jr. and a lot of their bench pieces. And going into, I probably wouldn't say they're really trying to win much this year, but I mean, if they can get those young guys confident enough to go into the future playoff series and whatnot when they have Jamal Murray back, it'll be a really big help for that team and a lot of more guys to count on as opposed to just Jokic or Jamal Murray trying to do everything for themselves that they have in the past years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I mean, man, I agree. Look, right now they are second in defensive ratings, so they're not that bad. I mean, they just like you said, they are still a developing some of their younger talent. And if honestly Michael Porter can really be like that third or second option, I mean, like at the end of the day, that just makes them a more complete team. So I mean, sometimes it really is a blessing and a curse to have one of your stars go out, because you can truly see what some of these younger guys have, and you can truly, scout out, who's going to be your key players on a championship run team. Because I mean, you see the Bucks over there, they didn't really have a true. I mean, Chris Middleton is a second, but I mean, after that, who do they really have? So I mean, it is nice to have like a little bit more, depth, and I just see them still being a playoff team, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the Detroit Pistons. They are right now 1-5. They are one of the worst teams in the NBA right now. Cade Cunningham, he had just recently made his debut. Not bad overall. But how do you feel about this team?
Seen his debut. What he did yet?
Let's see. I think he did decent, because I think that was their first win, if I'm not mistaken.
First, well, they did get their first win, but he only had 2 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists and a block. So not too much to write home about.
Yeah.
Shooting 1 for 8 to start off, so shooting really inefficient. And then in the next game, I think that is going on right now, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So far, he only has 4 points
Milwaukee.
and he's shooting 2 for 12.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're playing the Bucks right now, so I mean.
Yeah.
I mean.
So I mean, and plus, like you said, he's coming right off an injury right now. So
yeah.
I mean, it's to be expected. But I mean, there's a lot of pressure. There's always gonna be a lot of pressure for that number 1 pick. So I mean, coming off an injury and trying to be the savior for an organization and everything that's not really been good, there's a lot of pressure. So I mean, there's not, just give some time. Give some time for it to work itself out. Not even all the players that are playing right now started off that great. But I mean, a lot of them have had good games, here and there, which is what rookies do. So I mean, we'll see if he can really start to turn it up as the season goes on, get a little more efficient. That's what I would like to really see from him. Is more efficient on the offensive end. But I mean, other than that, we'll just see where everything grows. That's all there is to receive for them right now, in my opinion.
Hey man, hey, look, there ain't really nothing to a critique. They're just trash right now, and it's really nobody's fault. I mean, nobody's expecting the Detroit Pistons to go on this playoff run. That's like the Jags once they got a Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's expecting a playoff. Nobody's expecting that. Especially right now, they're just really lucked out with the number 1 overall pick, and he's finally here. Playing. He's gonna get time to adjust. This is totally different from any collegiate level. This is the NBA. This is the prime, spotlight. And so, I mean, it's nothing but just trial and error this year, and he's only going to get better and just develop. Granted, there is a lot of pressure for him to perform and to elevate this team, but nobody's expecting them to be a playoff team. Honestly, it might be a blessing in disguise that they are this low, and then they might end up getting another draft pick, and then they got another star just to develop and grow, and they have years. So I mean, really, it might look a little bit bleak for any Detroit Pistons fans out there, but look, if you like the long haul game, that's what you're playing right now with them. That's it. You know, you're not looking for.
mean,
They ain't getting no ring this year. No disrespect.
could you
But
imagine the Detroit Pistons having Kate Cunningham and imagine they get somebody like Amani Bates next year or something like that?
man, and that'd be so much. See, but you see how like the Charlotte Hornets, you know what I mean? Like they have some good, you know, like rookies, and that's like must see TV right now, you know. So it's just like they could do that and still, like next year in the East, like the East is not the West. Every other year, somebody's going in, coming out. So I mean, in the East, like you still have what's his name? Jamari Grant, Grant on that team. Yeah, you got K, and if you get him, like you mentioned, I mean, that's some must-see basketball right there. And then like still, you never know who they get in, at free agency. So it doesn't matter. I mean, year by year, teams get, like better. Like they plan out what they want. And this could be what they want in the future. I mean, you just never know. But let's just move on. Golden State Warriors right now. They are currently, let me pull it up because I just had it. They're currently second in the West, 5-1, just like the Utah Jazz. How you liking this team, man? Like this Thompson-less Warriors, man. How you like them? They're second in the West.
For the team that I thought may, really surprise everybody. Well, not really surprised, but I mean, it is kind of surprised, considering, everything that they've been through the last 2 years, and for them to come back, now and be more in a playoff contention again. It is kind of nice to see. So, I mean, it's really interesting to see if this team can really hold out to have a solid season and then add in a Klay Thompson kind of player and to really see where that team could go from there. And then it kind of feels like a battle of an older team going up against one of these newer school teams.
Look, all I gotta say is right now, without Klay Thompson, they are 5th in defensive rating, and they're 10th not 10th, 11th in just offensive rating. So I mean, if they get Klay back, and they already have a top 5 defense right now, if they keep it up, top 5 defense. And if they get Klay back, they're only going to get better offensively because Klay spaces out on the floor even more. So it just they could be a competitor this year. I would not count them out only because, it's still the same old Warriors and they just been smart. Well, not smart, but just luck of the draw. And they got the number 1 overall pick, a couple of years ago. And then they had 2 lottery picks, like last year. And so, Klay getting injured and Steph getting injured, back then Draymond having a couple of, stuff like it's really honestly a blessing in disguise because they really could stack the deck, have these rookie, deals, contracts, and still keep their high profile players. That's why they're not rushing back Klay, especially now when they're playing good team basketball. I mean, look, they are 11th in just offensive rating. So just wait up until Klay comes back. He's in the rhythm. And I've seen his workout videos. He's looking good. I mean, I'm just saying, ain't no rush. I don't want him to come back yet. But if he's looking this good and then a couple of months later, he comes back, I mean, they're a real threat. Honestly.
Yep.
For real. And that's it, man. I'm just saying. All right, let's move on to the Houston Rockets. Right now, they are currently 13th in 1-5. How do you feel about this Rockets team, man?
I mean, I think it's the same exact thing with the Detroit Pistons, they're literally the 1 and 2 team, the 1 and 2 pick teams. The same exact situations where you have a lot of young, decent talent, and you're just trying to develop your team, and there's not too much to really expect from young guys right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, you do like what you've seen from Jalen Green. Like, you saw flashes of what can be greatness from them. And you also do like what you've seen from Kevin Porter Jr. taking on more of a leader kind of role this year, being one of the older guys on a very young team. So you still do want to see also what they end up doing with John Wall and the trade and what they end up getting back for him too. Because you haven't done that yet.
Well, they're at least decent middle of the pack defensively. They are one of the worst teams offensively, but they are number 1 in pace. So I mean, just as long as they can develop Jalen Green and just work with this like roster. I mean, just like with the Pistons, we're not looking for them to be a playoff team. We're looking at them as being a future, a competitor, but not this year overall. And we just got to see where that young talent takes them, where that young talent takes themselves, honestly, and just see where this team can develop and grow. It's not really much to say about this team. I mean, like you said, they're just like the Pistons, man. Nobody expected them to do anything spectacular. So let's move on to the next team, Indiana Pacers, 2-6, second worst team in the East. How do you feel about the Pacers, man?
I'm kind of shocked that they're doing it this bad, but it's also not really surprising either.
Yeah.
They still do have kind of a logjam over there with the big man having the guy. He still can pretty much play the same exact position in Demontis Sabonis and Miles Turner. But I do also still like their young guards they have, and I thought they might be playing a little better. But then they also still have a young old rookie in Chris Duarte that's playing solid. But I mean, for him to be your starting rookie guard, it's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those circumstances this year. I know that Malcolm Brogdon did get injured, Isaiah Jackson got injured, so I mean, it's just like, yeah, look, they could be a playoff team in the East. It could, but I mean, it is the East. Any other year, somebody's move it up, somebody's move it down. It's really not much to say about this team either. I mean, nobody's really expecting them to go to the finals and win it. I mean, they're still in like that redevelopment phase, trying to figure out who their star is. And they did get a couple of like 2s and 3s on their team, no really major ones. So I mean, up until one of these, 2s step up and try to be a 1. I mean, it's just really, I mean, a Sabonis isn't that bad, but he isn't like a 1. So you just gotta give this team some time. Yeah, it's still a younger team. It's still they still got a couple of pieces to figure out. It's not really much to call home and be like, yo, the Pacers are doing this bad. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, it is what it is with them. Okay, well, let's move on to a Koalas LA Clippers, man. Right now they are 11th in the West, 2-4 right now. How do you feel about this team? How do you feel about Paul George's performance so far? Do you think that they can make the playoffs this year? And what are we expecting from them?
I think it's kind of to be expected. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing we saw back when it was like his last year in Indiana, where he was kind of just solely him kind of carrying. And if he's not having a good game, the team's not really doing too much outside of that. I mean, the team's not bad, but without the second star really there, it's not really meshing that well together just yet. And they're still also trying to develop some of the younger guys to take in a lot of the more of these role player roles. So I mean, they're kind of like, it'll be surprising if they can make a push for into the playoffs. But I mean, at most I see them as like a bottom half, like 7-8 seed,
like a playing team. Playing team. Yeah, that's how I feel honestly with them. I mean, Paul George has a lot on his task. I said this last week that like he could be like an MVP, like candidate if he pushes this team to the playoffs, puts up numbers, does good. But I mean, right now it is still early. It's just a lot to ask for him, especially when you think of the Clippers. You really think it's like a Kawhi's territory. So I'm not really expecting them any much, like you said, playing tournament team. It's just what I'm rooting for them to be. But if they don't make that, I'm not going to be shocked because I mean they are really suffering from not having a Kawhi, and they're really in like a flux year too, of trying to figure out who their other like role like players are. So I mean, we just gotta hope for the best with them. Moving on to the other LA team with the Los Angeles Lakers, they are 4-3 with that big 3, and with all of them old cats on that team, they're 4th in the West. Not bad. I think they were there like last year, roughly around like this time, circling the back. Over there. How do you feel about this Laker team? LeBron James did get injured. He was out 2 games. Russell Westbrook had that monstrous game. So I mean, how do you feel about this team?
I mean, I think they have the kind of things you expect from a LeBron James team. When he wasn't there, it's kind of like some stuff to be expected.
Yeah.
But also you got guys still trying to find their footing, like Russell. Kind of found a little bit here and there now. But I mean, Russell's going to be Russell at the end of the day. He's going to have really high highs and sometimes have really low lows.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I think one of their biggest X factors has been Melo, coming off the bench and being able to just knock down his most efficient season yet with field goal percentage and 3-point percentage in his 19-year career. So, I mean, he's just playing well, just taking his shots and making them this year. And that's really helping the team, I believe, to really help them get over the hump for some of these games, because it's not just easy work anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, this is what everybody is generally expecting from them right now. I mean, it's not like, look, they have a whole new team revamp. Melo has been saving them like these past couple of games too. I mean, I'm just expecting them to still be, a playoff team, probably roughly around the 4th seed, honestly. And like you said, this is everything that we expect from a LeBron James team. I mean, they're not really, look, they're just trying to get messed up right for the playoffs. That's their whole strategy. They're looking at the bigger picture overall. So I mean, as long as you can get Russell Westbrook acclimated with this team, get him to understand his role, and just get that chemistry messed up, meshed right. Nothing but the ceiling for them, honestly. This is literally their whole tactic. That's why they got Russell Westbrook instead of trying to get Buddy Hield or any other package. So I mean, they're doing solid middle of the pack, nothing too extreme, but it's LeBron James and the LA Lakers. Let's move on to the Miami Heat. They're second in the East at 5-1.
I can't do that. How do you feel? To use your Echo to control your video device, just go to the TV and video section of settings.
Hey Alexa, stop. All right, I'm sorry about that. All right, let's just start it back. All right, let's move on to the second in the Eastern Conference, Miami Heat. They are 5-1. Chef Ty, how do you feel about the Heat this year, man?
I think they're playing with some really solid basketball. I don't think Kyle Lowry has been, so great just yet, but I think he's been solid for them. But I think the real big play from Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo playing a lot more consistent this year and getting a lot more consistent games from guys like your role players like Duncan and Tyler Hero. I think things have been looking pretty good for them this year, and their chances of playing a lot better and a lot deeper into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people forget they were just in the finals like 2 years ago. So this is still a good, solid team. Right now, they're literally top 5 in offensive rating, 4th, and number 1 in defensive rating right now. So sky's the limit with this team, and they're playing good basketball. People are stepping up. They're doing a good job, and I can see them going deep in the East playoffs and really giving any team a run for their money. Honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, they got Jimmy Butler there, and Jimmy Butler, he's gonna push all these younger guys, older cats to want to play ball and really win, because that's what Jimmy Butler is literally all about.
Yeah.
All right, and let's move on to the NBA champions. The reigning NBA champions, Milwaukee Bucks, right now. They are 3-4 right now. How do you feel about the Bucks? How do you feel about Giannis? What do you see them going? Just talk it up, Chef Ty.
I think they're one of the teams with a target on their backs, mainly. I mean, I obviously, coming off the championship, that's how it is. But at the same time, I think trying to find their consistency for the most part, from the more or less from their role players and anything rather than their, the big player in Giannis. Giannis has been playing well, even adding the 3-point shot to his game so far. But I think there's nothing to panic about. I think, it's just some shooting woes here and there and, a couple shots made and a couple free throws made, a lot of these games will change. So
yeah, no,
I'm not too worried about them just yet.
Yeah, man, I'm about to say, I'm gonna just keep it short and sweet. I'm not worried. Giannis is here to play. I mean, like it's still early, and let's just face it. With the East, somebody can be number one. That joint move down to 7. You never know. I'm not counting them out. I'm pretty sure once they get to the playoffs, they'll definitely step it up even more. But it's still early, and they're not, like out of this yet. I mean, we only got 2 weeks into the season, so I mean, once we get to the All-Star break and moving forward, I'm pretty sure they're going to show as to why they won the championship against us last year. But let's move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves breaking even right now, 3-3 right now. How do you feel about D'Lo, Cat, and them cats over there in the T-Wolves?
I've honestly been really liking what I've been seeing from them. Consistency from their big three and Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns, and D'Angelo Russell. And they're just, positive about everything and trying to get their guys more involved in this team. So I think for a team that's been bad for a really long time, I think that I've seen a lot of good things from this team. And as they, actually do want to win and try to make some, nice little playoff push and get into that play-in spots.
Yeah. Man, they aren't a bad team, man. Like they're really I like that we are finally getting a little bit more footage of Cat and D'Lo, and just getting that match, and then just even add on Anthony Edwards there. I mean, look, they're a young team, and I won't count them out in a couple years if they can really develop Anthony Edwards and really truly get some more complementary role players with them. They could probably do some damage. I mean, probably they won't be at the top of the pack, but you never know, man. Shoot, you never know. Like the Bulls is playing hard, so you never really know. You just get that, motivation, energy. You get that right coach and everything, and you could zoom up at the end of the day, man. Yeah, man. All right. And let's go to the Memphis Grizzlies, the John Morant, third, 28.3 in points per game this year. How are you liking the Memphis Grizzlies this year? And they are 5th in the West at 4-3.
I think the Memphis Grizzlies have like one of these weird, rare cases where a player could really have an MVP season really early in his career, just because a lot of their success is riding on him. And that just allows him to get a lot of like crazy looking stats. And if they get a high enough seed and get enough wins and everything, he could definitely have his name in the MVP conversation this early in his career, which would be ridiculous. If they could really string together some wins. Although I don't really see that happening, it could be a possibility with how well he has been playing.
Yeah, but look, I said this last week, man. I was like, John Morant, if he could lead this team to the playoffs, I mean, he could be in the MVP discussion. And literally, everybody's talking about John Morant, MVP discussion. He's moving up in the ladders. He could carry this team to the playoffs. Like, it's not improbable. I mean, in the West, he's probably running for like a playing turn. Mind you, last year, didn't they beat the Warriors, right?
Yep. They play in a tournament.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything's possible. And if John Morant can step up and really lead this team, because that is his team, anything's really possible there. They're not doing that bad, personally. They're good, solid team-ish. They need to get better on the defensive front because they're like second to dead last at 29. But their offense, they're top 10. I mean, you can't really ask for more from John Morant, and he's still young. So, I mean, like, all these still has room to grow and just to learn the game of basketball at this like high level in the NBA. Yeah, but let's move on to the New Orleans Pelicans. They're 1-6, tied for one of the worst teams in the entire NBA. How do you feel about these Zion-less, Brandon Ingram led Pelicans right
now? Kind of surprised. I would think that the supporting cast of the Zion Williamson team could get at least a few more wins here. Even if they were just like 500, I could have seen them being a lot better than 1-6 or 1-5 or whatever. But They haven't looked too great this season so far. And I mean, you know, chop some of it up to new players coming in, but I mean, things haven't been that great. And then there's a lot of people talking about, you know, is Zion gonna be game ready when he does come back? Talking about is he in shape and whatnot. I'm not one to say anything on if he's in shape or not, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he comes back this season off of the injury. Fresh in the second season, season yet, and see what he can really do.
Yeah.
Especially with John Morant looking as good as he's looked, there's gonna be a lot of that comparison as well.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And that's the reason why I brought up earlier, as if do you see LaMelo being a future face of the NBA? Because Zion was that guy that's supposed to be the next LeBron James, but right now we can't even get him on the freaking court. And with his weight, you know, like I'm not saying that he is not going to be game ready, because I mean you didn't see like James like Harden gain weight to try to force out like a trade, and then like he like lost and stuff like that. Like it's not far-fetched. And even back in the day with players as just like Charles Barkley, I believe it was a story, like a draft story. He was just trying to put on pounds because he didn't want to go to the 76ers. He ended up still getting like drafted with them, but like he had ended up working with Moses Malone and just ended up burning that weight, like becoming a starter that year and just like just playing good basketball. So I mean, they're really not where I think a lot of people expected them to be overall, because I think a lot of people want them to be like a playoff caliber team, but I mean, they don't have their star on there, like they're the overall star. I mean, like I know they got Brandon Ingram and a couple of like new cats on there, but I mean, we'll see where they go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Zion's trying to do a whole like AD situation and really not trying to commit too much to them. I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, I got them being like a lottery team. They're not a playoff caliber team as of like right now, and it is early, but they don't have that mesh. They're not looking like they want to win games, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the New York Knicks, New York Knickerbockers. They are right now third in the East at 5-2, man. What are you liking from this Knicks team, man?
I like that they've been winning a lot of these close games. Like they've really been coming down and showing up in the clutch, having a lot of good games from a lot of different players here. So it's not seem like they're relying too much on one player to play really well. And Kemba seems like he's trying to find his footing there at least a little bit. He started off kind of rough, but it looks like he's trying to find his way a little bit. And there'll be something to really watch in the playoffs. I don't think they'll get upset like they probably did last year. Maybe not this year again.
Hey, man, their bench is winning a lot of games for them, man, this year, too, honestly. They have a good team. I ain't gonna hold you. I think they did it smart. I think they really have a good shot of still being a good playoff caliber team. I don't see them generally dipping off from their success last year. And just like how you said, Kemba, that was a good addition. He's going to find his footing and he's going to mesh well with this team. They're not doing bad. Julius Randle still playing a little bit as if like last year, and they have a good solid overall like depth too. That's what I like about this team, and it just honestly any given day one of their other key players can definitely step up and win them a game. I mean, right now they are third offensively, and I know that even though they are only 21st in defense, I'm sure that they can definitely get that whole situation figure. And just like how you said, they're winning a lot of these closer games, and when it comes to the playoffs, that is usually when a lot of these games get like tied up, and it's those clutch like moments. So they're getting ready for making a good solid case for them to be a playoff caliber team. And I see nothing but success for them this year as being like a decent third or fourth seed in the East, honestly.
True that.
Yes, sir. All right, let's move on to our next team, OKC Thunder. They are right now, believe, one of the worst teams in the West. Not one of the worst in the NBA. 1-6 right now. How you feel about this OKC team? And I believe that their only win that they got was from the Lakers, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They somehow got to win against the Lakers,
and then they come back from 26 points in that game, I believe so. So that's a nice, win.
Crazy like that.
Yeah, I'm a shoot. If you're only gonna have one win, that's the win I would love to have on my resume. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah. So far this season, I mean, it's what you expect. I mean, it's the Shea SGA show out there.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I was just looking on the Instagram and saw a stat saying that he's like basically just getting a ton of ISO plays out there, and leading the league in just ISO plays. Really, I mean, there's nothing else for him to really do on this team. A lot of young guys. So I mean, for him to win game, in order to get close wins on this game, he's just gonna have to take over almost all the time, which is not gonna end up amounting to a whole lot of wins. You get burned out easily and can't make every single shot every single night. So
yeah, no, man, I agree. I mean, it's really what we expect from them. Lower tier team, no playoff inspiration this year, unfortunately. They do have some nice, rookies on their team, but they're pretty bottom of the barrel. Offensively 29th, defensively 28th. So I mean, they're 1-5. Like I said, like that one win was impressive. Don't get me wrong. I was a pretty good win, but I mean, this year, just like with the Pistons or with the Rockets, we're not really expecting them to really be a playoff caliber team. Let's just see what they do in the future as they do continue to develop SGA and a couple of their other rookies that they did pick up. But let's just move on. Orlando Magic. All right, they are currently, and let me just pull this up. 13, 2-6 right now. How do you feel about this Magic team, man?
The young rebuilding team, I think they've had a lot of good things they have seen this year so far, especially from like Cole Anthony, really lighting up the scoreboard a lot this year. And if he continues to be a consistent, solid scorer like that for this team, I think that's really good signs for them going forward. I think their aspirations are about the same as the bottom of this league right now, and not really expecting too much from the playoffs, but if they can get a lot of solid play out of their young guys, I think it'll be a solid year for them. And if, like I said, if guys like Cole Anthony can really become like all-stars, that'd be really solid for them on this team that doesn't really have too much right now.
Yeah, amen. Sure, I agree. They're definitely a rebuilding team. Bottom of the pack, they're literally the worst defensive rating team. So I mean, they have much room to grow, improve, just like with any of these other teams, lower tier, rebuilding mode right now. If they can really look out and get a number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall pick, or just get like a decent lottery pick, I mean, the sky is the limit for them in the future. Right now, I'm not expecting anything from them at all. I'm just expecting them to show up and just show up. That's it. I'm not expecting any crazy, extraordinary, if I get a cool dunk out of their, like game, that's cool by me. But, I'm not going to hold my breath that they're going to be a playoff team. I just move on to the 5th seed in the East, Philadelphia 76ers, 5-2 right now. How do you feel about the 76ers this year without having Ben Simmons on the court? How do you really feel about them?
The 76ers, I think they've been playing really solid basketball. Nothing to really write home about, but nothing really to be mad about either. Just like their record kind of just stagnant, not too bad, not too good either. I don't know really what to expect from the Ben Simmons situation at this point anymore. So I mean, I think everybody's just kind of like wait and see at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you got a still MVP caliber player in Joel Embiid out there able to win you games. And outside of that, I think their biggest thing might be they do have a lot of young players as well, and that might be their downfall. And now young players not being able to step up to the moment all the time. And Tobias Harris, I mean, yes, he's going to be able to win you some games, but he's not always been the most consistent, and that's why he's been better off as like more of the 3 guy. So going from like a 3 to a 2 now on this team might be a little big of a step for him, but we'll see if he can adapt and really help this team win some games.
Yeah, I mean Ben Simmons defense is I think undervalued. He does give you minutes points, defense on that team. So just like losing him, they are where like I feel as though that they should be. Ben Simmons just because he can't shoot doesn't mean that he can't, help you out on just like other just like aspects on the court. So I mean, right now they are where I believe that they should be middle of the pack. Still a playoff team, just not one of those front runners that you really expect until they deal with this whole Ben Simmons, situation overall. But that's just how I feel about them. Let's move on to my team, Phoenix Suns. Right now, we're 10th, 2-3 right now. How do you feel about the Suns this year? Yeah, man.
Not too impressed with what I've seen so far. I haven't seen a whole lot of good from them, but I've also haven't seen a whole lot of bad from them either. I think they're right there in just like this like transit place area where they're trying to figure stuff out still. But as a team that just went to the finals, I know they still have finals aspirations and whatnot. So I think they're looking for like, that leap from like a Devin Booker to be better and whatnot, but he hasn't really improved too much, especially with the new rules and everything.
Yeah.
And then accepting Chris Paul to be probably the same Chris Paul, but I mean, he has possibly regressed a little bit due to age and whatnot. And then you have the contact situation with DeAndre Ayton, and you already know how that goes.
Yeah.
So,
Go. Yeah, man.
I'll let you talk about it. I'll let you go ahead and get into your team now.
Man, look, right now, offensively and defensively, we are ranked 23rd in the entire NBA. I'm not too happy from what I see. I mean, granted, last year we did start off a little bit slow, and it's really only a couple games in. I'm not ruling this out at all. I think there is a lot of other stuff looming, especially with the whole DeAndre Ayton not getting his like contract, and might be a couple of different stuff in the background. But and like you said, like the whole NBA, like rules is changing, and I think like the refs is just trying to let them play ball. And I just think, D-Buck is gonna get back into the swing of things. We still got CP3. We still got a nice team. We did add JaVale McGee. Like we have a solid team. I'm not gonna count us out. I just need to see how we're gonna play. I need to get a month in assessment, month and a half, just to see what just like everybody's head just like at, because one of our pieces is making sure that D-Buck is that like 1A 1B guy, and making sure that Aiden understands that even though that you don't have this contract, if you play out, they have no choice but to give you that money. If not, then like you're gonna get a payday regardless. So even if you leave, you're gonna go somewhere else, and you're gonna get that bucks. I'd rather him play to his heart's content. That way that we're good, and even if we don't pay the man, he can still go, somewhere else and justify getting that pay raise of what he wants, honestly. So I mean, look, we're at the bottom of the barrel. I need us to pick up the pace. We went to the finals last year, all right? It wasn't no fluke. I don't want it to be a fluke. I want them to go back, show as to why they are the Western Conference champs, man, and just continue to play ball, man. That's just it. Well, let's move on to the Portland Trail Blazers. They are ahead of us at 3-4 right now. How you liking? What do you dislike from this Portland Trail Blazers team?
I think it has been a little disappointing this year, especially a lot of people expecting Damian Lillard to have like an MVP caliber season.
Yeah.
And really just show out and really carry this team and do something. But I mean, they haven't really been all that impressive. I think they're kind of in that same realm of just trying to figure things out and figure out what their next direction is going to be. Because they definitely need to make some moves. And I don't know if that means just blowing it all up or what, but I mean, coming at this with the same team as last year isn't really the move. So I really want interested to see what they're actually going to do, if they're just going to ride out this wave and end up being like a middle of the pack playing team.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm pretty sure they're going to be a playing team this year. I'm not going to really say, like it ain't Dame time yet. But I mean, I know it's about to be that time. Just like it's still early. He's gonna have to adjust to the NBA, rules just like everybody else. So it's just everybody trying to understand, what they can and cannot do, what's going to be called, how they can truly understand the rules and utilize it to the best of their ability. I ain't gonna hold you. Melo has been helping out like this, like Lakers team who could, see what like Melo could have done in Portland. They could have won one or two more games, So
Yeah.
I mean, they just gotta get a mesh. Chauncey Billups is a new coach, so just really trying to get everybody down on one page, one whole mission of playoffs. I'm pretty sure they want to go to the finals just like everybody else, and I know that they still have Dame there. So I mean, they're not doing that bad. They're not doing too good. Like it's still early. And what I mean, like it's early because it's not Dame time yet. But just wait. Once he gets his like rhythm back too, the sky is the limit for them too. They could be a nice caliber playoff team. And let's just move on one more up because it seems like we're going from 10th, 9th, 8th with the Sacramento Kings, 3-3, breaking even right now. What are you liking from the Sacramento team, man?
The Sacramento team is honestly kind of surprising so far. I wasn't expecting them to be 3-3. I expect them to be a lot worse this year.
Yeah.
But I, think probably, definitely getting a lot better play from their guy, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, he's doing the same thing he's been doing.
Yeah.
And I think with adding everybody else starting to get a little bit better, and the Tyrese Halliburton starting to take on more of a player role, and still they still do need to move Buddy Hield on this team. And I think if they can get the right pieces, that'll really help this team out. And then they still got to figure out what they're gonna do with the big man position down low.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they'll probably end up staying, at best pace, possibly in the middle of the pack, play-in team type scenario. But I mean, I don't see them doing too much this year at all. But I am surprised to see them this high up this early so far.
Yeah. Look, all I gotta say is they should be 2-4 right now. I know that crazy game winner Harrison Barnes made pretty solid, and I mean, like they're doing decently right now. Not too bad. They are very surprising, but I mean it's still like early on. Let's just see what they got going on. De'Aaron Fox is putting up De'Aaron Fox stats, so I mean sky is the limit with them if they can understand and try to get some help down there 4-5 situation. Just move on. San Antonio Spurs right now. They are bottom of the barrel 2-5 right now. What are you seeing from the Spurs right now, man?
The Spurs, the same thing as a lot of the other teams. I mean, a lot of these rebuilding teams, it's going to be the same thing at the end of the day, where you're trying to develop your young guys and really see what you have. And it's going to be hard to get wins at the end of the day. I mean, you're not really shooting for wins. You're shooting to see who's going to be your star players, who you're going to build your team around. And they don't really have an identity yet. So, I mean, with that comes a lot of losses. And so we'll just see. Hopefully they'll figure it out. If they're really trying to make want to get their players like looking better this year, but I'm not too confident on them.
Yeah. Yep. Likewise, they're in a rebuilding phase. It's not really much to say about them. I mean, like they did lose DeMar DeRozan. They just gotta just wait it out and hopefully they can get a decent draft pick this year and just see what that's all about. But if not, I mean, I'm not really expecting much from them this year. Let's move on to the 6th in the East at 5-3. We got the Toronto Raptors, man. How do you feel about them this year?
I'm honestly surprised to see them do it as well as they are. I thought they would be more of a bottom pack of the team, trying to figure things out, figure out their new identity away from the Kyle Lowry era and everything like that. Even though that wasn't like a huge era, I mean, it wasn't a championship area, but I expected Pascal to really take a big leap and everything, but being kind of the same. But you are seeing a big leap from guys like OG and Anunoby playing really well this year and whatnot. So, and their rookie looking like a possible rookie of the year candidate, and Scotty Barnes playing really well. So, I mean, they've had a lot of of good things going well for them from what I've seen so far this year. And if they could keep it up, they could really be a top, not or one of the bottom half of the top seeds in the Eastern Conference, and really might possibly even upset some teams.
Yeah, no, honestly, I mean, look, it's the East. Any of these teams can definitely be a bottom play-in team, playoff team. I mean, but they have a decent, solid team. Like it's like like it's a decent team to like work with, especially in the East. I see them at the middle of the pack. But we just have to wait and see. But they are playing some good basketball right now, and you can't really be too mad about them. For I mean, like they're seventh in defense, not bad. Offensively, 15th, middle of the pack, and once they get a little bit more playing time underneath their belt, they can either go up or down. Just the team to really look for, just to see exactly where they land in terms of playoff. That could really be a key factor into like a couple of these teams moving up, or just like, progressing deeper into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the number 1 seed in the West at 5-1, tied with the Golden State Warriors. Utah Jazz. How do you feel about them this year, man?
I think you're seeing exactly what you saw last year from this team. I think a lot more solid play and everything, and I think they just get a lot of help from all around. Like they get a lot of good rebounding and down low defensive presence from the guy like Rudy Gobert. Then you get a lot of nice shooting and consistent play from the guard position and Donovan Mitchell. You get a lot of off the bench play from your guys like Jordan Clarkson. So, I mean, you have a lot of like options from everywhere and everybody play. It just kind of works really well together. And that's what I think we're seeing this year is them once again come together and really play well. And it'll be interesting if they can make a deeper push into the playoffs and really like stamp themselves in this league as a force to be reckoned with, as opposed to just being a laughing stock of the league.
Yeah, I mean, look, all I gotta say is they did the same thing last year, number 1 in the West. I mean, I'm not really expecting anything other than them being a top 3 team in the freaking West right now. What I want to see them is, can they have a deep playoff run? Can they, go past what the mailman and John Stockton could do, and actually win a finals, honestly, because we have seen this before. This isn't nothing new. I'm not impressed. This is just what I expect from them to be one of the premier, threats. But it's just all about how they handle themselves in the playoffs. So this ain't nothing new. We already seen this story. I'm just looking to see what their next chapter is. I expect them to be in the playoffs. You expect them to be there. Everybody expects them to be. This is what they did last year, and it's still early. So let's just see, how this year progresses, and I hope nothing but the best for them, because everybody expects them to be in the playoffs. And I just want them to elevate their game and to go to the finals, not even to go, but to win. But I mean, it is the West. You can't knock out anybody in the East. I mean, the Bulls is playing good. Heat's playing good. The Bucks are definitely still in, a contention. I haven't even mentioned on the Nets. So it's just like, what can they do in their conference, and what can they do to win it all? And let's just move on to the final team, Washington Wizards, 4th in the Eastern Conference at 5-2. How are you liking this team, especially with all their new additions, man?
This team looked pretty solid this year, and a lot more help for Bradley Beal, and not just him having to carry his team all the time. I think we've seen a lot more of consistent team play from this team, which is really refreshing to see, which we haven't had a lot for this team. And if they can really secure like a top, seed in this league, in the Eastern Conference, I think that'd be a really good like head start in the right direction for this team going forward.
And man, I agree. Look, honestly, with the pieces that they have, they aren't a bad team. And I believe that, last year when they had Russell Westbrook and they gave him up for a decent amount of solid role players, I think all of that weight of them trying to go back and just like repeat for a ring on those players, are gone. And it's now just like, hey, yo, just do what you can out there. I just play some ball, let's just really mesh together. And it's the East. So it's not that like, out of their like spectrum, especially with Bill. If Bill can play like he just like has been, that's their number one. All they need from like all of their other guys is just to be a solid role player, to play some good basketball, and to come in and just to do what you can on that team. And they're solid. Fourth.
Yeah.
I mean, like, granted, it is still like early, but I mean, like, look, man, if they're, young guys, all their newer additions can really mesh together, I don't really see them as not being like a, like a playoff team. I don't see them winning the finals, but I mean, they can get in, play in tournament. They can get in, at the lower, bracket. That's a good, year for them. Honestly, that's not bad. They were in the playing a tournament last year, right? If I wasn't mistaken. So I mean, like, if that's where you were at last year, you would only want to elevate, and you don't have to have the finals aspirations, but you can, be like, you know what, I want to be a 7th seed or 8th. I mean, 6th, 5th. I mean, they're 4th right now. So if they keep it up and they play ball, sky is the limit for them within reach. I mean, sky, the finals, but I mean, playoffs is that's where they want to go. I believe that they can get there.
Yeah. So.
Yes, sir. All righty. Well, that's going to cover our whole podcast this year. I mean, I said this year. That's going to cover our whole episode this week. All right. That ain't gonna be all the content for the rest of the year. It's going to definitely be more. If we did have more time to talk about NFL, but I mean, next week we'll definitely talk about NFL and do the same breakdown I just put every single team. But yeah, let us know in the comments below how you feel about this year. Who are your teams? Where do you see them going? Who do you want to win the finals, MVP, all that? Let us know, because this season NBA 75th, man. So I know it's going to be some good. And the other day, I believe, was it today actually was the first of the anniversary games, or was it the other day? I forget which is which, but
I believe it was yesterday.
Yeah, with the Knicks
jerseys?
and the no, I think the Knicks and the Raptors played, and that was one of their anniversary games. So I mean, yeah, man, the NBA 75th season is here. Yep, and those jerseys did come out. I'm liking some of those jerseys, man. They're nice. They're crisp, man. They are. Next week we could definitely look at them and and just like rate how you think that they are too, man. And just like who you think nice and I'm excited, man. NBA season's here. Yeah, man.
Sounds good.
We're back, man. Yeah. So please like, subscribe, comment below. We're gonna be here every single week, giving you content, NFL, NBA. Yeah, man. We're here, Chef and Guac Podcast.
See y'all on the next one, y'all.
All right, yes, sir. We're signing off right now, and check out last week's video too as well. So with that, I'll leave it up, and we'll have some music or whatever, and we'll talk to you later.
Peace.